Alrighty, well, I'm in the process of doing my chores. I'm boiling water outside right now. Um, I'm going to tell you a story about what happened the day that I registered my truck. And this is quite a story anyway. This is the sort of thing we get into with the government. Now, when I first had a driver's license, you could buy any car pretty much you wanted to buy, or any truck or whatever. I mean, you could buy a 1940s dump truck, really, if you wanted to, or step van, or whatever, or school bus, or whatever, if you wanted to. And you could register that and get insurance on it and put it on the road and stuff. Back in the 80s, you could still do stuff like that. And drive it with a G license, and you could get plates on it and whatnot. You had to get it through a safety inspection, but the safety inspection, or any car or truck or whatever you wanted to, you could do it, as long as it wasn't a tractor trailer or an army tank or something like that. You could do it. We had to go through a safety inspection, but the safety inspection basically said all your lights have to work, your brakes have to work, your horn has to work, your windshield wipers have to work. You can't have any holes in the body that would allow carbon monoxide into the car or into the cab of the truck or whatever. You couldn't have any you couldn't have any problems with your steering or your suspension, and your exhaust system had to be intact and functional. And if all that was the case, then you could get the car on the road. You could register it and so on. They took your word for what you paid for it when they taxed you, and for the purchase price, they just took whatever it said on the bill of sale, and that's what they taxed you for. And they'd sell you your plates and so on like that. It was a pretty straightforward process, really. Over the years, they've tightened it up. They've made it now harder. Well, they made it harder to insure certain vehicles, especially older vehicles. They made it harder to register certain vehicles, especially older vehicles. And they've made it now that it's harder to pass a safety check because they include a lot of things that weren't previously included that really don't have anything to do with safety in a safety check. And so basically, it's gotten a lot harder. Now, even up until recently, though, see, one of the things that they changed, was that they quit taking our word for whatever it said on our bill of sale for taxation purposes. And they started doing a thing where they would do the average selling price as calculated on their computers, or what it said on your bill of sale, whichever was higher for that particular type of vehicle. Whichever was higher, they tax you on that. So if you paid $1,500 or $2,000 for a car, but those cars on average were selling for $5,000, well, then you'd pay tax on $5,000. That's how it was. But if you paid $7,000 for your car, and the average of those cars sold for $5,000, if it said $7,000 on your bill of sale, you'd pay tax on $7,000. So it was always the higher number, and that's still the case. But now what they've done is they've added this other thing where if your vehicle is over 20 years old, which of course my truck is, you have to get it appraised so that they can determine the taxation amount. And the appraisal is a joke. The appraiser doesn't even have to see your vehicle. You go to a car dealership and they fill out a form, and the vehicle doesn't even have to be present. And they fill out a form. And then you take that over, and they base your sales tax either on what it says on the form that the car dealer filled out, or on your bill of sale, whichever is higher. Now, they charge you $100 to fill that out. That's the other thing. They charge you $100 for that. But anyway, It used to be, though, that as long as you had a valid safety certificate and the ownership, you could put the vehicle into your name and you could get a temporary plate, which you could drive on for, I think, 15 days in order to do whatever you needed to do. You know, can't do that anymore. They've changed it now so that you have to have the appraisal in your hand and the ownership and the safety before you can even get a temporary plate. So I found that out the hard way on Wednesday anyway. I didn't know they'd changed that, but they have. And, of course, it's been a long time for me since I bought a car. But here's what happened. It's kind of funny in a way and also a little bit disconcerting. My friend who owns the garage where the car was fixed, she picked me up, her and her husband own it, and she drove me into Perth to do all this stuff, and to pick the truck up. Well, she had to take me over then across the road to a car dealer to have this form filled out, this appraisal form, so that the government could tax me. And they ended up taxing me on what it said on the bill of sale anyway, because he filled out the form for less than the bill of sale. But I had to pay $100 for that. But anyway, he filled out the form. We go back over there. And the woman at the Ministry of Transportation office even told me he doesn't even have to see the truck. But you have to have that form. But he'll fill it out. He doesn't even have to see the truck to appraise it. So, there you go. Anyway, so obviously she knows it's a scam. But anyway, I go over there with the form, and I'm sitting there waiting my turn, and I start looking the form over, and the form says, vehicle needs major body work and extensive mechanical repair. That's what he wrote on the form, the car dealer. Well, I had a valid safety. Now, the safety was good. The vehicle didn't need anything like that. Any work it needed was done, and it would pass a safety legitimately. But this is what he wrote. Well, I see that, and I kind of freaked out because I thought, I can't give this to them because it says that the vehicle won't pass a safety even though the vehicle has a valid safety from my friend's garage. This is going to cause trouble for me and for my friend. We ended up having to go back over, and I'm running out of time here. The thing's going to shut down soon. It just told me. I'm running out of space on the phone. But basically, we had to go back over and get the car dealer to write another slip, another paper. Because if we had submitted that, it would have